log into your computer. I'm going to have you go someplace in just a minute to run something through it. Hello, distance learners. I just have this link for you so you know what's expected of you in the next couple 2 to 3 weeks. So today through Friday, we're going to finish up the movie. This hour should finish today. No, it'll probably be tomorrow. I don't know if we'll quite finish it up, but nothing major going on. On Monday, if the FRQs are out, I'm going to go over the calculator active ones like for 15 minutes. If they're not, like usually every year they post them on the Friday after the test traditionally, but there's 3 different testing dates and this was by far the earliest. I don't know if you knew that, but we could have done it the 24th or June something. I just wanted to be done, and it affected AP physics kids. Like 9 of you would have had to pick which one. So I was like, we'll do both. Yeah, if we took it on another date, there was a conflict with physics. So we just got it over with, but they might not release them because of that. Even though they take a different test, they might just not want those kids to have access to a different study resource than others didn't. So that hasn't been determined yet. So if they're not, then we're just going to whatever. The next thing we're going to do is a project coming up, but it'll be kind of a fun one. We're going to take the purple topics up there. AB is going to do the blue. You guys are going to do the purple. You can pick 1 to do by yourself, or you can pick 2 to do with a partner, or 3 to do with a partner, or a full chunk to do with a group. I don't really care. But what you're going to do is make a very short animated video. We're going to use Google Animation, and we're also going to use WeVideo. So before we do, they're going to look really good. They're going to be sort of professional. They're going to be for after people have learned it. So it's not to teach it. It's just, I'll show you an example that I did in AB just of the Google slide, but not of the video. So like if I were to present this, like every click it animates it. And so I use this to kind of help them with their, visualizing of solids. That was just really quick. But then when you put them into WeVideo, this is just one I did for Algebra 1, you can kind of add, you can't hear it, but you can add, why isn't the sound going? Help me out. There's actually sound to this. Hello? Why isn't the sound going? That's on. Is this on mute? No. Now it is. No, it is. Uh-oh, that might cause a problem with the movie. Maybe. Anyway, there is sound with it, and then the animation becomes like, you know, hands-free. It's just running through like a video, and I'm talking and stuff behind there. I'm going to show you how to do that. My goal is to have a digital library for following years, so it's going to look kind of professional. So like if you choose, you wouldn't, but AB, if they choose like related rates and they choose to do the ladder, the kids will actually see the ladder falling, see the angle changing, see, you know what I mean? It's going to be animated instead of just somebody writing. The algebra kids have responded really well to them, but in order to do that, I'm going to assume that most of you don't know how to do Google Slide animation. If you do, that's fine. And I'll show you how to like put cool backgrounds in, like if you want to do it all on a chalkboard or whatever. It's really easy once you pick up on it. Math is a little goofy on there, but it's a good skill to have when you go to college too, if you have to do like a presentation. I'll show you how to jazz them up instead of just the usual Google Slides. Does that make sense? So we'll do that. So we're just going to practice, and then I'm going to teach you how to work WeVideo. Have you guys ever done WeVideo? Maybe they've really upped their, and we have access to the pro licenses, I think. So they've really upped it. So you can really do some cool stuff, and we can do it for free. I think they have 2,000 licenses. So I'll teach you how to like get the video going. But before we do that, I want you to practice on just like an algebra topic. So I'll give you an Algebra 1 topic like foiling, and have you do the Google slideshow and the WeVideo, just because the first one you make, although you'll think it's cool, it gets way better with the second one. Have you ever done that on computers? You're like, oh, this is cool. I did such a great job. And then you go do the next one, you're like, that first one wasn't so good. So if you're into computers like I am, I'm like, when I used to write programs in college, I'd be, that's so cool. And then when I did it again, I'm like, nah, it wasn't so cool. So anyway, so we're going to work on that. It won't be homework unless you decide to like make it spectacular, but you'll have enough time in class to finish it. I'm going to let you decide whether you want to do it on your own, or if you want to be in a group. I'll tell you, like if there's a group of 5 of you, I might say you guys are doing all a parametric together, and you can divvy it up because they have it where you can do collaborators. So like you can send different clips to each other and stuff. So that's what we're going to work on. When we're done with that, which I don't know how long it's going to take. I've never done this before. Then we might hit some of the topics that we've skipped. And we did skip some just because they're 100%. You shouldn't have had anything on that AP test where you're like, I have never heard of this topic. You might have forgot like Lagrange error or an inverse trig something, but every topic we did. Am I right? But there's some that you would have learned in college that we didn't do. Not because they're difficult. AP just doesn't test them. There's something called Newton's method. There's optimization. There's integration by trig substitution, a couple of those for those of you moving on. How many of you are moving on in math? Like this isn't the end of the math road. It's about half of you. If it's not the end of the math road, I kind of want to expose you to some of that just in case your professor says, this is just like Newton's method. And you'll be like, well, who never taught me that? It's actually a Calc AB topic. We didn't do it. And I won't, like I said, I won't test you on it. I won't give homework on it. We'll just discuss it. So that's kind of how I want to end the year. So the only thing still going in the grade book will be this project. You can't not get 100% on it unless you, like if it says include audio and you don't. Or if it says have at least 2 different transitions and you don't. But other than that, it can only help your grade. And it'll be kind of fun. So you guys might want to decide by Monday if you want to work with anybody so you can let me know when I start assigning the topics over there. So like if you're working on your own, I might give you something sort of small that doesn't require collaboration, like maybe just Euler's method. But you can actually have the numbers fly into the chart. Like I'll show you how to make stuff fly in. You know what I mean? You're going to do animations. It'll be cool. So the next thing before we watch the movie is I want you on your computer to go to AP Pass. You're going to go to score calculators. And because it's fresh in your brain, just to kind of, it mainly did this for AB to ease their brains because some of them, they'd never taken an AP test before, let alone. So I just say ease your brains. You guys took it last year, but you didn't take it like this, correct? This is way different. But what College Board puts out there is this score calculator. Now, the most recent year I have for BC is 2015. AB had a 2018, but they're all normed the same way. So it doesn't particularly matter. But you're going to think back to the multiple choice. You're going to think of the no calculator part of it, like your first hour, and you're going to ask yourself, out of those 30, how many do I think I didn't get? And if you're like, 10, then log a 20 in your brain. Then there were 15 with a calculator, and if you're like, I think I got all but 5 of those. Then you're thinking, I'm going to take off the 10 and the 15, and you're going to give yourself a 30. So I want you to think through that. If you're like, I don't know, then dumb it down. Like if you're like, I honestly don't think I got any wrong on the calculator active, I would take 2 off. And if you're like, I think I got 7 wrong on the other, I would play it down. Then you have to go back in your head. The first 2 were calculator active FRQs. Kids usually forget those 2. It's usually either parametric or polar. You had one of them, I'm sure. And then another one, which I have no clue, but generally those calculator active ones aren't very challenging, but I don't know. So think back to your first 2 FRQs, and if you're like, I think I aced the first one, give yourself an 8. And if you're like, I think I got all but part D on the second, I don't even know what they are, then give yourself a 6. If you're like, I left the whole thing blank, give yourself a 0. Okay? The next one, number 3, is usually the goofball one, I call it. It's the weird one that is a crossover between the 2. I never know what to predict every year. I told you it's going to happen, and it happened. You guys all came back, both AB and BC, complaining about the same problem. I'm assuming that was number 3 because that's generally, they slam you with it right on the next set. If you're like, I didn't get any of it, give yourself a 0. If there was at least one easy part, or if you had to set up limits, usually you get a point for limits, or if it had units needed, I don't know what it was, but if you're like, I know I got the units, and I know I did pi times the integral from 4 to 7, but I have no clue what I put in the integrand, or I have no clue how to do the Eulers, or whatever it was, you go decide. I'm going to give me a 0 because I don't know what it was. Okay, then usually what comes next is unpredictable, but it's all BC. So usually it's got maybe like a L'Hopital and an Euler and a something, but there was something in there that you probably couldn't put in a category. Like it wasn't right in, right out. It wasn't polar. It wasn't parametric. It wasn't graph analysis. It was just what it was. Think back to that. It's usually this one. I'm going to give myself a 5. All right. Then there's usually a graph analysis. That's a crossover between the two courses. So if AB had graph analysis, you had the exact same one. Am I right? Okay, I don't know if it was an easy one or a hard one for you. You decide, but if you're like, that was the hardest one I ever did, but I was able to find a relative max. If you're like, I think I got the whole thing, dumb it down to an 8. Okay, the last one is always series. Always. It's so if it was a hard series one, national averages on series are 3. And if you're like, I thought that was really hard, give yourself a 3. If you're like, I got all but the error bound or all but the what else would they ever ask you? I don't know. Then give yourself like a 6 or 7. All right, so I'm gonna go give myself. I'm good at series, so I'm gonna give myself an 8. Hit the calculate, and this is fairly accurate. All right. So, and for you guys, you kind of know where you're sitting. You know you're all at 5s and 4s, am I right? But AB didn't, and they were all like kind of stressed out. So we ran this through. Anyway, now we'll go watch the movie. Unless you have any questions for me, I'm gonna go back.